Hello, everybody. Today I'm Meredith Lego, and I'm doing a series of videos on Ascension science. A lot of the content that I'm bringing forward has been channeled from a being called Ascended Master Hilarion, who I've been able to connect with through sort of quantum entanglement. And after meditation, during meditation, I basically ask him a series of questions to learn different aspects about the quantum field, about Ascension in general. And in this particular video, I'm going to share a topic that I started to bring up I think a couple videos ago, but it was around the concept of Stargate Ascension. And I specifically wanted to know from him what the difference is between a Stargate, a portal, and an arc. And he will actually explain what an arc is if you've not heard about that before. So to begin, that's really the question that I asked, really, what is the difference between those three different concepts? The answer that I got is the living library is all that is, let me reread that again. So the living library of all that is accessible via the gates. Both, and here I think he means stargates and portals. So both are energy vortex areas which connect or anchor in the energy fields of Earth and other dimensions and density versions of Earth. They essentially are passageways for time travel. When you travel through a gate, you travel and place your consciousness consciously into another focus point in another timeline in the future or past. This is how Ascension can work, by shifting consciousness in through a portal gate. Then I asked him, do you take your physical body? And I actually asked that in the last video that I did on Stargate Ascension, and he had an answer there. And it was pretty much consistent. So if you haven't watched that, I'll put a link in the connection, but in the comment section, but I would encourage you to watch that video as well. So again, the question was, do you take your physical body? His answer is no. The consciousness travels and is birthed in a new body or maintains the imprint of the current body form. Some beings can travel through portals with their physical bodies, but the bodies are deconstructed and reconstructed similar to a facsimile, or a fax basically, or the Star Trek Energizer technology concept. So I thought that, that was pretty interesting. The fact that, we see in the movies the concept of, people going through stargates, like in that movie Stargate, or the popular TV series that started after that movie came out. So what he's implying is that the body essentially sort of disintegrates and then sort of reconnects, or is kind of redeveloped according to the imprint, probably the blueprint template that makes up the very essence of your being, if you will, and all of the multiple bodies that you have: the physical body, the emotional body, the mental body, and the etheric body. He goes on to say that arcs are energetic connection points that bypass gate structures. They are almost like byway points on a highway system when the transitions of roadways are under construction. This is how time travel occurs. So when beings travel through a portal, they think they're traveling to another physical point in the same time period, when in reality they travel to another time. They are space-time transitions according to coordinate vector points. The situation on your planet now is as such to reveal these transfer points because they can be used for ascension. And the way that I interpret that is at least perhaps knowing consciously, I would say consciously knowing where they are around the world. When you're doing meditations and you're at the point of also being able to sort of go out of body, you can take your consciousness to those vector points or those stargates or portals, and essentially be able to travel through them. I asked a question, well, what about going within, so sort of like going within into a portal or gateway through the heart, because that is essentially what he had discussed in another channeling that I did around the concept of Stargate Ascension. So the heart can very much be a portal into sort of traveling through time or traveling through space. His answer is this is possible when the heart is connected to earth grids. And that's really all that we went through in this particular session, and I had to cut it because I had to go make dinner for my family, and I didn't necessarily pick it up. But there's a couple of other points that I wanted to reference around this particular topic. So first of all, the concept of arcs is pretty interesting, and I had I can't remember why I asked what's the difference between a portal and a gateway and arc. I think I might have heard about it and just was curious about it, or he might have even mentioned it during a channel. Sometimes when I'm meditating early in the morning, I get lots of content that comes through, and next thing you know, I'm just sort of thinking about the content that's coming through. So I think that's how it happened. But I wanted to draw a parallel to something that would be popular in our culture, which is the concept of the Ark of the Covenant. So the Ark of the Covenant is not necessarily a box, or there could be one out there that's a box, but that's not the true essence of what it is. The Ark of the Covenant is actually an arc or a portal passageway, I guess you could say, that kind of connects two different points, and it's almost like a byway that was created a long time ago. And it's an energy bridge from the Andromeda galaxy to the core of second dimensional or second density, I think it's second dimensional Earth. And it was created a long time ago as part of an agreement system, and it essentially has become a passageway, if you will, for souls moving into our incarnational pathway. So, as you're starting to go through the learnings, a lot of stuff that you've learned about that's historic, maybe you've learned about it in the Bible, or, we've kind of heard about it from historical timelines, actually can be grounded in what I'm starting to bring forward in a lot of these videos. And we're just remembering stuff that we knew a long time ago that was essentially hidden from us, probably buried within secret societies, because the knowledge can be very liberating, and really allow you to become a truly sovereign being. So I'm glad that this information is starting to come back forward into the general population and for all beings to understand. So this is really key, because obviously knowing about where stargates are, where portals are, about the arc systems or the passageways can be important as you start to explore more. And now that this is consciously entered into your consciousness, you might go forward and start to experience it. That's essentially something that happened to me. I was meditating one morning, and I did go into, I went through the heart essentially in the meditation. And next thing you know, as clear as day, I was looking at golden grids and essentially looking at a portal or a passageway, if you will. I chose not to go into it because I was sort of fascinated by what I was witnessing. But, you do have the ability to do this. I'll also explain to you that, and I think I did bring this book up a couple of videos ago. There is a book from an individual I know named Solitaire Park. Again, it's called Patterns of Existence. So you can kind of see what it's called. Now, he's a trained theoretical physicist and has written several books on the concept of the astral plane. He's actually mapped it out, altered states of reality. But in this particular book, he also goes into a bit of detail around the concept of gates, portals, and something that I had never heard before and has not necessarily come up from Ascended Master Hilarion, called hearths. And so in this particular book, the definition for gates and portals that he provides is contrivances around the planet capable of transporting travelers to an alternate location on or under the earth. And hearths are stones utilized for transport. So they are reputed to be extra galactic. So I've actually heard of, let's say, you'd have a whole stone, and I think one might be near Machu Picchu, I think it is, but there's a whole stone, and essentially you kind of enter in through the stone structure. Not that there was an opening, and it's literally stone. You just sort of walk in. Solitaire's definition, and I know he's had lots of experience going through portals and gates, is slightly different than the one that Ascended Master Hilarion gave me. I mean, he did talk about it as being passageways through the earth, but his definition definitely focused more on, as you're going through them, you're actually traveling through time. So that's pretty interesting. The only thing that I can offer up is just a quick fun experience that I had traveling through a portal, and it was actually Solitaire who took me. It was in the astral plane, and he took me through the Stonehenge gate. And unfortunately, when you're starting to get more lucid, let's say in dream time or lucid in the astral plane, sometimes you can remember exactly what you're seeing, but sometimes your consciousness just can't quite grasp everything that you're seeing. So you'll sort of insert other images that seem more real to your consciousness. So in this particular case, the way that I experienced going through the gate was in an old house that I used to live in growing up. I saw him basically creating a pattern on the wall of the entranceway for the house, on the inside of the house, but it was the entranceway. He created a pattern on the wall, and essentially we walked through a portal, and basically everything shook. It was like an earthquake had gone off, and that's essentially the experience that I had. And then we exited. So afterwards, he and my aunt, who are very experienced and very lucid during these situations, said that usually when you're opening these sorts of portals, you do have to sort of, I guess, create some sort of a pattern, almost like it might be in the movies where you're using some sort of a key code to open a door. Sounds like that might be similar. So you're kind of opening up some sort of a pattern or drawing a pattern to help kind of get the portal activated. And then sometimes when you go through them, it can be a swoosh of energy. And so therefore it can feel very disorienting to your consciousness body you're experiencing that. In that case, it would have been the astral body. I interpret it, within my experience as an earthquake that was going off. Although they say that usually it can be it's a lot of like energy that's going through, so it can be disorienting. But that was my experience. And fortunately, I don't remember like the open, landscape of England and all that kind of stuff. I wish I did. Probably more experience in doing this would help my consciousness like connect the dots of, seeing what's actually going on. And I have fortunately been able to do that in some cases where like I'm very aware of what I am and it matches up to true reality. But in this particular case, unfortunately, it didn't. So more practice. But with that, I hope you took away something from understanding, at least from Hilarion's perspective, the difference between Stargates, portals, and arcs, and that it helps you, on your journey of understanding more about the world that we live in and Ascension. With that, I will sign off and see you in the next video. Thanks. Bye.